Can we actually demand God to do things in our own lives? Well, according to Mike Todd over at Transformation Church, the answer is yes. And not only that, but this answer came directly from God Himself. Now, in today's video, guys, we're going to dive into this topic a bit more. We're going to watch 3 clips from this message he recently preached saying these things, as well as I want to end this video with 3 specific Bible verses that silence this type of foolish talk and that make it abundantly clear God did not speak to Mike Todd and say these words. Now, we're going to dive into the first clip, and then I'm going to kind of give you my thoughts after watching what we're about to see.
To preach is the overflow. So I go to Africa, and I thought I was going to give them the message I gave y'all on Sunday, and I started preaching it, and something came out of me that was different. I said, what was that? He said it was the hunger of the people. I said, what do you mean? He said there was a different demand. There was a different demand. He said people many times in the Western culture come to be entertained and inspired. Entertained and inspired. He said, but these people came for their lives to be transformed. And he said, and when you stood up there under the power that I gave, he said, I'm gonna always supply my people with what they need. And I said, so how I preach like that back at home? He said, you stand up and tell the people, demand more from God.
So we see here Mike Todd having this conversation, having this dialogue with God Himself. And God is saying to Mike Todd, listen, the issue with the Western culture is they come to God, they come to church to be entertained and inspired. Well, I find it very ironic that Mike Todd talks about this because that's exactly what his church is doing. Every single Sunday, this is what they're feeding into. People who are going into Transformation Church are seeking after that exact thing. And Transformation Church is feeding that to them. So I find that very odd and ironic that Mike Todd is saying this. And then he goes on and talks about how he's, well, how do I preach like this? How do I get this message across? And what does God tell Mike Todd to do? Go back to church and tell the people to demand God of things. Now, here we'll watch the second clip and see what else Mike Todd has to say about this.
He said, I want you to stand up on Sunday morning and tell your church to put a demand on me. And I said, God, is what? Hold on, is that antichrist? Is that illegal? I know, whatever you want to do, God. He said, what I want to do is do a work through the earth, but I cannot do it without my people. He said, everything I choose to do on the earth, I have to partner with a person to do it. And he said, and my people do not believe that I can do what I've already shown them and told them I can do.
You see here that God apparently tells Mike Todd to go and tell your church to put a demand on him. That God cannot work and move in this world, on this earth, without man being a part of it, without man helping him, without man working side by side with God. As if God cannot move and do as he sovereignly so chooses. It only gets worse in this next clip.
This is how he said it to me, and I'm gonna just say it to you like this because he told me to get up here and tell you. He said, it's time for them to make me have to move. He said, make me move. Pray in such a way that I can't ignore. Is that my?
We see here, it's clear that God told Mike Todd that it's time for the people to make him move, that he is done moving and will not move until they make him move, that being God. Guys, this completely goes against what the scripture says And if that's the case, then it's clear that Mike Todd is lying and has not and did not hear from God. This is dangerous. And the scriptures make it clear. In the first passage, it says this in Psalm chapter 50, verse 10 through 12. For every beast of the forest is mine, and the cattle of 1,000 hills. I know all the birds of the mountains, and the wild beasts of the field are mine. If I were hungry, I would not tell you, for the world is mine and all its fullness. God would not even tell us if he was hungry. All things on earth are the Lord's, and he has dominion over all of those things. Psalm 115, verse 3 says, but our God is in heaven and does whatever he pleases. But according to Mike Todd, and in this message, no, only what man can kind of demand God to do, that's when he'll do a work. But here in the scriptures, we see God does whatever he pleases. Psalm 136, verses 6 to 7 say this, whatever the Lord pleases, he does, in heaven and in earth, in the seas and in all deep places. He causes the vapors to ascend from the ends of the earth. He makes lightning from the rain. He brings the wind out of its treasures. Guys, whatever the Lord pleases, he does in heaven and in earth. Mike Todd did not hear from God. Mike Todd should not be a pastor. Mike Todd's a liar, and he should not be a pastor of a church. God does not contradict himself. But according to Mike Todd, it looks like he does. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the BTteam Ministry channel, as well as like this video and leave a comment down below letting me know your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this video, you might want to watch this one over here.